Like the man who told me, Rorel from Catalan, who came with Victoria Leiter, said that I had no conception of what respect the young generation of designers held for me.
Well, I know, because I hear your name talked about, you know.
But the people who are nearer my age,
students,
or who are, let us say, in their middle 40s and up,
people are protecting their own interests, Charles.
They protect their own interests, it's true, because never having had much ideas at all, because ideas cannot ripen without clients. It's the client who brings the idea out. And as that's a very costly operation, they preferred to buy in Paris designs which had been fitted to very demanding clients. And in the end, there was a prototype, and they would work from that. And this is how it operated right up to 39. And so later, making their own names, but lacking clients, they couldn't get this sort of touch, the nuance, the point. And the copies all look really sort of like the pinafore trade.
Were these padded? We're talking about the arm pieces. Is this doesn't feel very padded.
If anything, a teeny little bit. No, but no, it isn't. But Madame Vionnet told me that she made all her square shoulders without any padding at all, by mere cut, and then put a little bit of horsehair, half an inch broad, around the seam.
All the seaming in the back is very elegant and obviously serves a purpose to bring it in tight at the hips and around the derriere.
Yeah, Gypsy had more derriere than you did.
Was she as tall?
Yes, she was as tall. She had a lower bust than you have.
And the arm length seems to be very good.
Yeah, I think she could have had arms a little shorter, and she may have been bigger here.
I noticed that this
She had a low behind, like the ideals of 1880. She owned the Bouguereau nude that used to be over the bar of the Knickerbocker Hotel.
I noticed...
Not Knickerbocker, Holland House.
I find this sleeve really fascinating, Charles, the way it's sort of more at the elbow, and then the way it's sort of more here, and then it goes in sharply at the wrist, then flares a little bit. How do you reach that decision?
All officers' uniforms have that sort of sleeve.
We're so unused to seeing so much detailing in clothes today, where they just there's a sleeve and there's a waist and there's a décolleté, and then that's it. This has so many things: the shawl collar, the darts to a point at the hip, the way it fits the back with the darts. And I mean,
but you know,
I mean, there's so much
there. A
there.
very funny thing happened. It's worth telling with a story, and I don't think you'll object either. But I had a very famous dress made of tucks, which demanded only one piece of fabric up to here, and then a top. And I made it in Paris to begin with, in 39 or 38. And then I made it over here. Gypsy Rose Lee bought it for the Star and Garter finale. It went on selling till 59 when I closed the big workroom. And 2 or 3 years ago, went into a second-hand clothes shop called Early Halloween. There was the dress on a hanger. Instead of being cut in one piece, there were lots of little pieces put together, which must have driven them mad. And a little bow here, a little bow there, but all the tucks were there. And inside was a label, Bergdorf Goodman, and Nanty Frocks, and it said edition and a number. And yet, I have an article in my press book by Mr. Rendigs, who was Nanty Frocks, saying that when I sold him a patent, I was like a whole production unit. He never had anything to do with it.
It almost looks like this could be worn inside out. It's so beautifully made inside as well, Charles. Is there anything that inside that's of
Our
particular
linings
interest
are
perhaps to
always very good.
students?
Or for instance, the repetition of the points that make the shape there. You could do it by putting vertical lines, but it wouldn't be the same.
Is there anything else in here that we should note for perhaps for students that might be watching it inside? Is the inside as important as the outside, Charles?
Well, I've always thought so. And I do remember John Murray Anderson, to annoy Mr. Ziegfeld, I think it was, at one time had all the insides of evening coats, which weren't taken off on the stage, embroidered by hand at an enormous expense to prove his point. Do you know the name of John Murray Anderson?
No.
One of the greatest American producers. The music box reviews were his job. That's what he... You know what you look wonderful in that.
Well, this is one of your...
I think this, what about that one over there? Does that fit?
No, it's very small. A woman has no bust at all. Her rib cage is bigger than... I can hold that and make it look tighter.
This is really a 1978 piece, isn't it,
Yes,
Charles?
it is. And the opening here is very nice.
The butterfly top. Is that what you've named it?
Yeah, Hilda said that quite different story, that Elsa felt that that shouldn't be open quite that far. It'd take 10 minutes to close it.
Can you talk?
Because I had a letter from Elsa first saying how wonderful it was.
And Hilda said something different.
Yeah, you know.
At first, when you did it, the bottom part wasn't
She
here at
wanted
all.
all this open here, but it wouldn't go. So we have the white one we made with the compromise, and I'll show you. If you put this on, I'll show the white one too.
Could you cut that?
Look at the back, Charles. This is it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it's just... Did this come from someplace? Did you, obviously...
There's something like
Was it the top of a
that I
ball
made
gown many
for a
years
plain
ago, or...?
Woolen day dress years ago, but it didn't make the same
Years ago.
front. Yeah.
This is wonderful, Charles.
Isn't it nice?
And so
It
revealing and
looks
sexy.
well on her, huh?
Particularly well.
And what you're doing with your knee is nice. Hmm? If only that would stick out more, you know? But
Oh, I love the way it falls, Charles, as she moves. This way, Charles. Come over here, Charles.
would you rather have this to start than the stole? And wear the stole at dinner?
Could she wear the stole over that and then take the
No,
stole off?
It won't
At
go.
dinner.
Yeah.
Because the stole I can't eat.
All
The
right.
stole.
Yeah.
You know?
You're quite right. I hadn't thought of that.
You're deciding now what you'll be wearing at the show. Of course, you haven't had real public showing of a few of your works in a long time, have you,
Not for
Charles?
15 years.
It's fabulous.
Well, I can't say that. There have been a lot of public showings of my designs.
Well, the
tribute
the Electric
to
Circus
many
show.
different people. Yes, the Electric Circus. Students came from Chicago and various places under their own steam. They paid their way.
And this, can you explain how it's kept together, or?
By tension.
It just looks like it's going to fall off any minute and everything will show, but I know it never will.
Bigger in the waist by several inches, and that will pull it down.
Can you sort of raise your arms and move around? And how were you able to engineer it so that it would fall without revealing all, so to speak? I mean, it looks like it's just so
I've been making clothes for
scandalous and
50 years.
respectable all at once, Charles.
Well, that's what Gertrude Lawrence said.
The fabric is wonderful. What is it?
It's two organdies. Orchid underneath green.
Two different colors.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Fabulous. Good.
Is the top made to be worn with a figure-8 skirt?
No, it's going to have another skirt, but it can be.
Also, your famous
I
pants.
love things to be able to be, worn.
Interchangeable?
Yes. Don't you think so?
I think so. very much.
as long as it's well planned.
I'm noticing now, too, that the figure-8 skirt is made of 2 different fabrics.
No, it's simply reversible. When it goes through the leg, the other side shows.
Is it 2 pieces of fabric or just
No,
each side of the
one
fabric?
piece.
And it's silk?
Yeah.
It looks wonderful with that, Charles. It really
Look at
does.
this. You see,
Another variation?
Yeah.
Well, this has been sort of your whole trademark throughout your career, hasn't it, Charles, to be able to have certain designs evolve into other designs?
Yeah.
And that's why you feel that all your clothes are really, and I feel that your clothes are timeless,
Yes.
because they all evolve right up to the minute.
Curve.
I love it. It's fabulous.
How do you reach these evolutions? Does it just happen like nature, or?
Well, I plan them, and sometimes I'll make a drawing after I finish making something. I know I can make it another way. Homer works it out. Homer should.
Homer Lane,
He will
you're...
never speak up for himself. It's very hard for me to say of what importance he is to me and to my clients.
Well, he's the only one you trust to carry out any of your designs, and also
Exactly true.
you consult with him on many of the evolutions. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Look at the... Could you stand next to it and show us the differences?
This is more. This can be worn as a jacket. Too, can't it?
Where?
This can be worn as a jacket. Can it be worn as a jacket?
It could if
could.
you replace that.
Yeah. Maybe with one of your small bras underneath it.
Yes.
Very
Buttons on that curve.
good. Yeah.
Underneath, probably, hooks and eyes, hidden.
Hidden. So if you open it and you have a
Exactly.
bra,
Yeah.
and you can wear it that way.
Did you often get ideas from models and clients and friends who were wearing your clothes?
No, but when something was ordered by a client, like Millicent Rogers, its development was aided by her suggestions.
What's the back of this like, Charles? White silk,
Yes, lined with cotton organdy.
completely slit at the back?
Yeah.
Is this the design you're currently most excited about?
Yes, I think I am.
I'm very excited about it. Just standing here looking at it. I mean, I can tell it's genius work, you know?
And this is what you'll be
You
wearing?
know, it has these 2 sections separately, but the rest is made out of one pattern. There are two sections from one pattern, mounted on foundation piece to make tension.
Whose body is this on? The dummy being someone's body, I'm sure.
This is Elsa's dummy. It's going to be cast, a mold taken, cast in plaster, then scraped down, and then another mold, and then a final one.
So I see right before me 3 different variations on a theme.
Yeah.
Are there others, all 3 here, are there others planned?
Well, I have a
or
whole
are there-
book of them.
On this one design? There are only actually 4 pieces like this in the world today.
Yes, but I have other designs of how I can change this. Often we can put a design back to front, you know.
Well, it's wonderful. Is there anything else students should know about this?
Or the ribbon cape.
You can wear this in the front, can't you? You
Yes,
can
it
make it.
could be made in the front, of course. I could make this go open back there.
Just everywhere she moves, the way it changes, the way it opens and slides. I mean, it's just wonderful the way it moves with the body.
Do I see the ribbon cape right behind me?
Was this one of Gypsy's capes?
No, no. It belonged to Marit Guinness, of the not the Bear Guinnesses, but the cousins that owned the bank, Guinness Mann. And her mother is Norwegian, and so was her first husband, or the only one. And she gave it. But Sir Cecil Beaton gave the one I made for his sister to the Victoria and Albert Museum. And they've chosen this and the white coat to represent the costume department in a museum show where every department in it submits 2 objects. It's called an object show, where it doesn't look nice with the green coming out.
This is, of course, the famous ribbon cape where all the ribbons come to one point. Is that correct? You see all the ribbons coming right around to this one point. Is that right, Charles? It seems so light. Is it light?
Very, very light.
Can you make it sort of swing it for us and sort of...
You can even wrap one side of your shoulder. It isn't quite correct, but I mean, it's possible.
How did this... When did you make this cape?
In 1937, I think, in Paris, the ribbon industry subsidized one, and it was made for Madame Arturo Wilshaw Lopez.
How much did it cost to create this creation?
I only know that it's impossible to tell about couture. All you can do is to add up your year's expenses and divide it by the number of pieces you've delivered.
What would it cost to recreate this today?
Include everything, the office, the public relations, everything.
What would you charge a client who wanted a cape like this today?
$27.50.
Seems awfully reasonable.
You know, it was copied in... No, that it was the other one that Madame Lopez had, the law copied in ermine. And I sold the copy of this in New York to a store called Rustics, which no longer exists. It competed with Lord and Taylor.
It's wonderful. It's all silk ribbon.
That ribbon was woven before 1914, and I took the manufacturer one day up to Montmartre, where everything is thrown out on the floor with a stick and the price. And he said, "My God, that's my ribbon." Then he made it again later. He's the one who makes the Legion of Honor red ribbon, called Combe.
And of course, the most exciting thing about the cape, the sort of the trademark point, is of course the way that all the ribbon leads to the point. Is that correct?
Yes, how it's all the fitting of the shoulder is buried.
Show us how that was done.
It's buried in the seaming, you see.
Could you
There's
turn
no
around
doubt.
so could you
Yeah, you
point
see?
that out?
It's like fitting a glove.
How long would it take a workshop to turn out a piece like this?
It would depend entirely on the skill of the worker. The pattern really takes longer than but of course in those days we overcast the inside seaming, and that took a lot of time.
I noticed that it isn't lined.
No, but the snobism of that period was not to line anything,
Why was that?
to have everything as thin and light as possible.
Are there, of course, I know that Homer can turn this out, given the time,
Yes.
but
Give them 6 months.
are there workrooms today that can create the butterfly top, the
No,
figure eight
it's the
skirt, the
American,
ribbon cape?
Fashion, public relations machine, by boosting only mass producers, has killed off all the custom workrooms, which were kept going to copy French clothes, and had wonderful workers. They should have been kept by Bendlers and Sachs instead of all dismissed, because they are the people who can work out a new thing. The more experience they've had, the more they know how to deal with a new idea.
Also, of course, it wasn't commercially viable, really, to keep this kind of workroom going.
Nonsense. 200 to 400,000 off a budget like Saks, which is a revenue of 8 million, didn't mean anything.
For prestige and status.
No, actually what he did was to cut down the taxes they paid.
But isn't it true that all couture loses money, even in
Yes.
Paris? It's the perfumes, of course, that keep the couture
of course.
workshops
Charles
and...
James Services had 5 contracts. All ceased paying when I was sued, and won.
I mean, I look at these things and I think many fashionable women would want this if they could get it, if they knew how to get it, where to get it, if you would actually make it for them. And it seems a shame that you're really only creating for 2 or 3 people now. Is that by choice, Charles?
No, I don't have the capital to hire and train people. It takes many months, if not a year, to train people to do something like this. I've given Homer people who are well recommended, but they botch everything up.
Is Homer Lane really the only person you trust to execute your designs today?
Yes. Oh, it's a zipper button? Oh. It was at one time, wasn't it?
No.
I'm running out of superlatives, Charles.
This was made from
The tulip?
Kent Legree of Washington, who is a...
Yes, I went to see her once
yes,
many
you did.
years ago.
She's a very distinguished
Isn't this
person.
one of the dresses that I brought back?
Yes, it is indeed.
Isn't this the famous tulip shape? The tulip coming from the bottom?
Well, I don't know. It's what people called it. I didn't call it that.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it, Charles? I noticed there's a lot less seaming
Well,
in this gown.
This is all soft, and that is stiff. The body of this is absolutely limp. It's what editors like to call unstructured.
Something
if
that...
only they looked the word structure up in the dictionary and found out that it merely meant how something went together.
This is... I just love this touch, Charles. How did you... And again, I see almost a slight reflection coming here from the new brassiere, just a little bit. Am I wrong, or...?
No?
I think everything of yours is really very trademarked. It's easy to tell a Charles James piece
But I'm
in many ways.
told that.
How did you create this shape? Can you tell us how did you get
Somewhere
the
around
idea?
3 in the
or-
morning, you know.
And could you turn around?
That could come off the shoulder more like that.
And the way it's
It would
fitted.
on her, it fitted, you see, her build held it there. Now, I don't know whether that's a way of wearing it or whether she was probably broader from there to there.
Again, this almost seems to be something I've seen repeated in many of your things. This tension line coming in here, these openings, even in the butterfly blouse, I see this wonderful angle.
You certainly look wonderful in it.
And if you got the bottom, Anton, can you move in, or can you
why I
walk
said
back,
the
or?
passage was so good.
Oh, here. Maybe you want to just step up. Just to get an idea of the bottom, which is...
They want this in Arizona.
What is this underneath?
To throw it
Could you,
upwards.
Homer, could you show it a little bit? What is this?
It throws the volant, the flare, up.
And what is this made of?
Boning and horsehair.
But it seems Is it light?
Very. It's not heavy.
You see, when that's pressed, it goes up just a little bit like a waterfall, you know?
And again, it's not just like straight across. It's very much
I'm glad you noticed
unusual.
that, because other ones made this way were straight across, and it makes all the difference in the world, because, you know, from here to there must be as long as possible. And if it were to end there, it would just be commonplace.
And cut the figure.
Yeah.
And you've come down to sort of
Goes
like
up
the
at
knee.
the sides and then down in the back.
Could you turn around? It must have been hard to clean it.
Most people sent their clothes back for me to clean. We use the bathtub full of Renews-It, but I don't think they make Renews-It now.
And the-
Liquid? You
these-
couldn't find it, you know.
That's the silver thing that you clean silver with, right? Renews it? It's a clean.
Yes, it was like gasoline.
Yeah. I like it.
These darts seem to, and a minimum of them there are.
Yeah.
When you first started, there were probably many darts.
Yes.
That you, how many?
Yeah.
You started with 10 and eliminated down
Yes,
to 2.
probably.
But it comes in so beautifully to show that. Look how this fits. I mean, it's just like a glove. It's just. It's incredible. You fitted a lot of perfectly. You dressed a lot of beautifully figured ladies.
Well, I hit an average so that somehow or other, what looked well on one looked well on another. What looked well on Millicent Rogers was certain to look well on the greatest number of store clients.
Is
when
this,
copied.
is this part
If
of
the
the?
production man didn't change it? You
Is
know?
this part of the art of couture to
That is the
give
art of
the
couture.
perfect figure to many
Yeah,
women who
yes, to
perhaps
give the
do not
figure,
have the perfect figure?
Because most women who set fashion are around 45, 50. And your job is to make them look young and to give them back their figure. And when you do that, you've invented a prescription for youth.
A fountain of youth.
Yes, I mean, the fountain of youth begins really at 50 going backward. Nobody young has to bother too much. They look all right in anything.
It's wonderful.
As
And
anybody reading the ads in the papers can see.
if we really look at the seams, it's just having one down here,
Mm.
and then just one here, and then this.
A dot.
A dart. And if you turn around, and then just this piece, which is so just follows the curve of the
Yeah.
body. I know you did a lot of eliminating to make that work.
That's the reason it takes so long. We report on paper exactly what we do each time. So we end with a pattern representing the final thing so that we avoid all duplication.
And just sort of. Charles, what is she getting into now?
Oh, it's very extraordinary how this dress was saved to begin with by the very sad, unexpected death of a great friend of mine from Ecuador who married into the Standard Oil Jennings family. And after separating from her husband, she lived in the apartment that Elsa Peretti lives in. And these clothes, the white satin coat was one. This hung in that small closet, crushed up, for 25 years. And one day I went to call, and the doorman said, "Didn't you know Madam died last week?" Then her estranged husband, who nevertheless remained friendly to her, went to the Leahy Clinic in Boston with stomachache and was found also to have cancer of the pancreas and died in a few days.
And then all the clothes
They
were given to
both-
you?
Well, afterwards, she'd had a lover with her husband's, he didn't mind at all.
This
And he
strikes-
was an actor who was very prominent in his time in a play called The Pursuit of Happiness. And he was to be left 10,000 a year by the husband, who never got around to signing the will.
Wasn't
And
this...
she finally inherited her Ecuador, Venezuelan money, and the family took it all. So the lover was left penniless.
it's off in the way.
Yeah,
But this
and
this
he
looks
gave
familiar.
me these. He said they really belong to me.
This looks very familiar. Didn't Jerry Hall,
Yeah.
who of course is now Mick Jagger's live-in lady, wear this at the museum show
Yes,
upstate?
That's right. And Elsa wore it to a party given by Mr. Kaiserman, who's, I think, in the dress business.
And this is kind of a dress with a cape, a half cape.
Yeah. And it's made of 2 pieces of material.
And it, again, is
And you
it
know
silk?
who has reproduced this dress with the same legend? Mr. Volbracht, whom I do know. He was brought here by
Michael Vobrack, the illustrator turned designer.
by Ted Kennedy. I have the picture. It's the same thing. One cape in the text made out of 2 pieces, but it's made out of a very vulgar print.
Well, don't you consider it a compliment in some ways that
No.
many designers
I
from
don't think
Halston to on have
Compliment.
complimented?
No, it'd be a compliment if they
Didn't you once
said derived from. Of course, that would be the normal way.
And this is the cape a separate piece, or can you show us where the 2
No,
pieces
no.
are, Charles?
You show Homer.
The skirt, well, there's a diagonal seam here, and the skirt wraps over itself on the diagonal seam. So that piece,
No side seams. No center back seam.
that
Just
ends in
dot,
it
a
forms
dot.
back.
And it goes right up to where your hand was, to there, in one piece. And then the cape is added to this bodice part. I think I made this in 29. It could have been 31, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I was either 23 or 25. And Mrs. Jennings had a wonderful brooch that she wore there, a big star of diamonds with an emerald in it.
Worn here,
Right there.
diamonds and emeralds.
Yeah, she was very handsome and very tall, as you see. In fact, the